August 8th is not just another day on the calendar. It's the feast day of Saint Dominic de Guzman, the saint who received the rosary directly from the hands of Our Lady herself and gave it to the world as a weapon against evil, against false teachings, against spiritual lukewarmness. Saint Dominic didn't just pray the rosary, he preached with it, he liberated souls with it, he fought spiritual battles with it. And that's why, on this special day, Padre Pio teaches us exactly what to do with our rosary to receive extraordinary graces. Padre Pio used to say that the rosary is the weapon for our times. He wasn't speaking metaphorically. For him, it was literally a spiritual weapon. The rosary was his constant companion. He prayed more than 30 rosaries every single day. Yes, you heard that right, 30. He used to say that the devil has terror of three things: the cross, the Eucharist, and the rosary. That's why on St. Dominic's Day, the saint who spread the rosary throughout the world, you cannot treat this as just any ordinary date. There's a special grace released from heaven for those who on this day take their rosary in their hands with true faith. Padre Pio revealed something simple, yet life-changing. On St. Dominic's Day, take your rosary, go to a quiet place, and offer it for an intention that seems impossible to human eyes. But offer it with complete trust. Offer it like someone who truly surrenders, not like someone who's just repeating empty words. Padre Pio used to say, prayer must be made with a heart on fire, even if the lips are dry. It's in this sincere surrender that heaven opens up. If you believe in the power of the rosary that Padre Pio teaches us about, write in the comments, Mary, I trust in the power of the rosary. Your faith helps this message reach more souls who need to hear it. Today, I'm going to share with you the 3 specific things Padre Pio taught us to do with our rosary on this sacred day. Things that can transform not just your prayer life, but your entire spiritual journey. Stay with me, because what you're about to discover has changed the lives of countless souls who dared to put these teachings into practice. When Padre Pio held his rosary, something extraordinary happened. It wasn't just beads and prayers for him. It was a direct line to heaven. Witnesses would say they could see his face transform during the rosary. Sometimes tears would stream down his cheeks. Other times, his face would shine with an inexplicable light. This wasn't theatrical emotion. This was a man who understood something about the rosary that most of us are still learning. You see, Padre Pio didn't just pray the rosary, he lived it. Every mystery, every Hail Mary, every Glory Be was a step deeper into the heart of Christ and Mary. He would spend hours contemplating each mystery, allowing the scenes from Jesus' life to play out in his soul, like he was actually there. Can you imagine praying with such intensity that you feel like you're standing at the foot of the cross with Mary? That's how Padre Pio prayed. He once said to a spiritual child, the rosary is the weapon for these times because it strikes at the root of all evil, forgetfulness of God. Think about that for a moment. In our busy world, how often do we forget God exists? How often do we go through entire days without really thinking about Him? The rosary brings us back. Each Hail Mary is like a gentle reminder. Remember, God loves you. Remember, you're not alone. Remember, there's more to life than what you can see. But here's what made Padre Pio's rosary different from a routine recitation. He prayed with what he called the intention of reparation. Every rosary was offered to repair the damage done by sin, not just his own sins, but the sins of the whole world. He understood that when we pray the rosary with this intention, we're not just asking for favors, we're participating in the redemption of humanity. I remember reading about a woman who visited Padre Pio feeling completely broken. Her marriage was falling apart. Her children had walked away from the faith, and she felt like God had abandoned her. Padre Pio looked at her and said simply, "My daughter, take your rosary. Pray it every day for 6 months, not for what you want, but to console the heart of Mary for all the souls who are lost. She thought it was strange advice. She wanted solutions to her problems, not homework. But she trusted him. 6 months later, everything had changed. Not because her circumstances magically improved overnight, but because her heart had transformed. She had learned to see her suffering through Mary's eyes. Her husband began coming back to church. Her children started calling more often, but most importantly, she had found peace in the storm. That's the power of the rosary when it's prayed with intention. Padre Pio used to tell people, don't worry about distractions during the rosary. Even Mary gets distracted sometimes. She's thinking about all her children who need her help. What beautiful wisdom. He wasn't asking for perfection. He was asking for presence. Just show up with your rosary. Bring your tired heart, your wandering mind, your heavy burdens. Mary will do the rest. This is why August 8th is so special. On St. Dominic's Day, when we pray the rosary, we're connecting with centuries of saints who understood this secret. We're joining our prayers to St. Dominic's, to Padre Pio's, to countless mothers and fathers who found hope in these simple beads. The grace is amplified because we're not praying alone. We're praying with the whole communion of saints. You know, as I've been sharing these teachings about the rosary, I've realized how many people have told me they want to deepen their prayer life, but don't know where to start. They hold their rosary and feel like they're missing something. That deeper connection Padre Pio talked about. That's exactly why we created something special for our community. It's called The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection and Grace. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the rosary with more devotion and depth. Discover the miracles and testimonies of those who have experienced its power, and know the teachings and most impactful phrases of Padre Pio about prayer. You'll receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith and access special prayers of protection, healing, and liberation. The rosary was Padre Pio's great weapon, and today it can be yours too. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your spiritual life with material that has already helped thousands of people. To download it, just click the link pinned in the comments. Now, let me share with you the 3 specific practices Padre Pio revealed for St. Dominic's Day. The first thing Padre Pio taught us to do with our rosary on St. Dominic's Day is something that might surprise you. He said, pray the rosary with the intention of conversion, either someone in your family or your own. Now, this wasn't just about asking Mary to change someone else's heart. It was about surrendering our own need to control and allowing God to work in ways we might not expect. Think about it. How many times have you prayed for a family member who's walked away from faith? How many times have you begged God to bring them back? Padre Pio understood something profound. When we pray the rosary for conversion, we have to be willing to be converted ourselves first. Sometimes God changes the person we're praying for. Sometimes He changes us so we can love them better. Sometimes He changes both. I think of Maria, a grandmother who prayed the rosary every day for 20 years for her grandson who had gotten involved with drugs. 20 years of Hail Marys. 20 years of hoping and trusting and sometimes doubting. Then one day, out of nowhere, her grandson showed up at her door. He was clean, he was sober, and he said, "Grandma, I don't know what you've been doing, but something's been pulling me home." That's the power of the rosary prayed with persistence and love. The second practice Padre Pio revealed was this: pass your rosary over objects or photos of people you love. Now, this might sound strange if you've never heard of it before, but Padre Pio used to bless rosaries and place them on letters, portraits, and even written names. He would say, "The rosary carries the presence of the Virgin. Where it touches with faith, there is blessing." This isn't superstition, it's sacramental thinking. Just like holy water carries blessing, just like blessed oil brings healing, a rosary that's been prayed with love carries spiritual power. When you place it on a photo of someone you're worried about, you're not performing magic. You're making a physical gesture of your spiritual trust. You're saying to Mary, I place this person under your protection. Some people keep a blessed rosary in their car. Others place one under their child's pillow. I know mothers who have sewn tiny rosaries into their children's backpacks before they go off to college. These aren't good luck charms. They're tangible reminders of prayer, of protection, of a mother's love that never stops reaching toward heaven. The third practice might be the most powerful of all. Padre Pio taught, pray the rosary before the Blessed Sacrament, or even before a lit candle, as a sign of spiritual light. Saint Dominic used to spend hours before the altar with his rosary in his hands. And Padre Pio said that one rosary prayed before the Eucharistic Jesus is worth 1,000 words we say alone. There's something about praying the rosary in the presence of Jesus that amplifies everything. Maybe it's because when we're before the Blessed Sacrament, we remember that the mysteries we're praying aren't just historical events. They're present realities. The baby Jesus we contemplate in the joyful mysteries is the same Jesus present in the tabernacle. The suffering Christ of the sorrowful mysteries is the same Christ who offers himself to us in every Mass. Even if you can't get to a church, Padre Pio suggested lighting a candle and praying your rosary before it. The flame becomes a reminder that Christ is the light of the world, that no darkness can overcome the light. It's a simple act, but it transforms the atmosphere of your prayer. Here's what I want you to understand about these three practices. They're not complicated rituals you have to perform perfectly. They're invitations to pray with more intention, more presence, more trust. Padre Pio knew that when we engage our whole selves in prayer, our minds, our hearts, our bodies, something deeper happens. We move from reciting prayers to actually praying. And here's the beautiful thing. You don't have to do all three practices at once. Maybe today you focus on that conversion intention. Maybe tomorrow you bless some photos with your rosary. Maybe this weekend you make time to pray before the Blessed Sacrament. The point isn't to add more stress to your spiritual life. It's to add more depth, more meaning, more connection. Remember what Padre Pio said. The rosary is the weapon for our times. But like any weapon, it's only effective if you know how to use it. These practices aren't just techniques. They're ways of entering more fully into the mystery of prayer, into the heart of Mary, into the life of Christ himself. Now let me tell you something that Padre Pio understood better than most. We are in a spiritual battle, and August 8th is not just a day of celebration, it's a day of victory. When St. Dominic received the rosary from Our Lady, it wasn't just a gift. It was a weapon handed down in the midst of war. The church was being attacked by heresies, souls were being led astray, and Mary herself came down to give us the ammunition we needed to fight back. Padre Pio lived this reality every day. The stigmata he bore weren't just mystical phenomena. They were signs that he was united with Christ's suffering, sharing in the battle against evil. And his rosary was always with him. Like a soldier who never leaves his post without his weapon, he understood that every Hail Mary was a blow against the forces of darkness. Every mystery meditated was a victory of light over shadow. You might wonder, but I don't see demons. I don't experience dramatic spiritual warfare. Here's what Padre Pio would tell you. The battle isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's as simple as the voice that tells you to skip your prayers today because you're too tired. Sometimes it's the discouragement that makes you think your prayers don't matter. Sometimes it's the busyness that crowds out any thought of God from your day. These aren't accidents, they're strategies. But when you take your rosary in your hands, especially on St. Dominic's Day, you're not just fighting alone. You're joining an army of prayer warriors that stretches back 800 years. Every Dominican who ever preached with the rosary in his belt, every mother who ever prayed her children back to faith, every saint who ever found strength in these mysteries, they're all praying with you. Mary herself is fighting with you. Padre Pio used to say, while you pray the rosary, Mary steps on the head of the serpent. While you meditate on the mysteries of Christ's life, the enemy loses strength. While you hold the rosary, you are never alone. Can you imagine that? Every time you begin, in the name of the Father, Mary is already there, ready to battle for your soul, for your family, for your intentions. This is why August 8th carries such special grace. Heaven honors the memory of saints with particular favors. It's like the whole communion of saints is celebrating, and they want to share their joy with us. Saint Dominic is interceding with special power on his feast day. Padre Pio is joining his prayers to yours, and Mary, the Queen of the Rosary, is listening with particular attention to every word you pray. But here's what I need you to understand. This isn't magic. It's relationship. When you pray the rosary on St. Dominic's Day, you're not manipulating God into giving you what you want. You're opening yourself to receive what he wants to give you. Sometimes that's healing. Sometimes it's peace. Sometimes it's the strength to carry your cross with grace. Sometimes it's the conversion you've been praying for. Sometimes it's something you never expected but desperately needed. Padre Pio used to tell people, if men knew the power that the rosary has, they would not spend a single day without praying it. And on August 8th, especially on this holy day, that power is intensified. Because heaven honors the memory of the saints with special graces. Because St. Dominic's intercession is particularly strong on his feast day. Because Mary delights in seeing her children honor the gift she gave through her beloved son Dominic. So if you're feeling distant from God, if your prayers feel dry, if you're carrying burdens that seem too heavy, this is your day. This is your moment. Take your rosary, even if it's been sitting in a drawer for months. Hold it in your hands. Even if you're not sure you remember all the prayers, begin with, in the name of the Father, even if your faith feels shaky. Because here's the secret Padre Pio knew. You don't have to feel holy to pray the rosary. You don't have to have perfect faith to receive grace. You just have to show up. You just have to begin. Mary will meet you where you are and lead you where you need to go. The battle is real, but the victory is already won. Christ has conquered sin and death. Mary has crushed the serpent's head. Your job is simply to join the celebration, to add your voice to the chorus of praise, to let your rosary become part of the great prayer that rises to heaven every moment of every day. My dear friends, as we come to the end of our time together today, I want you to close your eyes for just a moment and imagine this. Somewhere right now, as you're listening to these words, someone is holding their rosary for the first time in years. Someone else is praying for a miracle they've almost given up hoping for. A mother is whispering Hail Marys over her sleeping child. A father is asking Mary to protect his family. An elderly person is offering their pain for the conversion of souls. You are part of this beautiful, global family of prayer. Padre Pio once said, "No soul is lost if there is someone who prays for it with faith and perseverance." Today, on St. Dominic's feast day, your prayers matter more than you know. That rosary in your hands isn't just beads and chain. It's a lifeline between earth and heaven. It's a bridge between your heart and Mary's heart. It's a weapon that can change not just your life, but the lives of everyone you love. I know some of you are thinking, but my problems are so big, my situation is so complicated. Can the rosary really make a difference? Let me tell you what Padre Pio would say to you. With the rosary in your hand, you will never be defeated. Not because life will suddenly become easy, but because you'll never face anything alone. Every bead you touch connects you to Mary. Every prayer you whisper reaches the heart of God. Maybe you've been praying for something for years and you're tired of waiting. Maybe you've lost someone you love and the grief feels unbearable. Maybe you're worried about your children, your health, your future. Today is the day to place all of it, every worry, every hope, every tear, into Mary's hands through the rosary. She knows what it's like to watch her son suffer. She knows what it's like to trust God when everything seems lost. She will not let you walk this journey alone. So here's what I want you to do right now. If these words have touched your heart, if you feel even a small stirring of hope, write in the comments, "Mary, I trust in the power of the Rosary." Don't just write it, mean it. Let it be your prayer, your surrender, your act of faith. And if you have a special intention, if there's something heavy on your heart, write, "So Padre Pio, intercede for me on this day." Your words in the comments aren't just for me to read. They're prayers rising to heaven. They're acts of faith that release grace. They're ways of joining your heart to this community of believers who understand that prayer changes things, that Mary listens, that miracles still happen. Before you go about your day, before you get caught up in the busyness of life, take just a moment, find your rosary. If you don't have one, use your fingers to count prayers. Say one, Hail Mary, just one, with all the love in your heart. Offer it for someone who needs Mary's intercession, because today is not just any day. Today is Saint Dominic's Day. Today is a day of special grace. Today is your day to experience the power of the Rosary that changed Padre Pio's life and can change yours too. My beloved brothers and sisters, before we end today's message, I need to share something from my heart with you. Every day, we receive messages from people around the world telling us how these teachings about Padre Pio and the saints have brought hope back into their lives. Mothers write to tell us their children have returned to the faith. Fathers share how they've found peace in their struggles. Families tell us they're praying together again for the first time in years. This isn't just a channel, it's a mission. It's a calling to spread the wisdom of the saints to a world that desperately needs their light. But here's the truth. We can't do this alone. We need you. We need this beautiful community of faith that gathers here every day, seeking to grow closer to God through the examples of holy men and women like Padre Pio. When you hit that like button, you're not just showing appreciation, you're helping this message reach someone who might be on the verge of giving up hope. When you share this video with a friend or family member, you might be the instrument God uses to touch their heart at exactly the moment they need it most. When you subscribe and become part of our community, you're joining a family of believers who support each other's spiritual journey. Think about it. What if Saint Dominic had kept the rosary to himself? What if Padre Pio had hidden his spiritual gifts instead of sharing them with the world? The saints became saints partly because they understood that God's gifts are meant to be shared. That's what we're doing here together, sharing the treasures of our faith so that more souls can experience God's love and mercy. So I'm asking you today, as a personal favor, if this message has blessed you, if it's given you even a small spark of hope or a moment of peace, please help us spread it further. Hit that like button right now. Share this video with someone you love. Subscribe to our channel and ring the notification bell so you never miss these spiritual treasures we share. Together, we can create a network of prayer and faith that spans the globe. Together, we can ensure that the wisdom of saints like Padre Pio continues to light the way for generations to come. Thank you for being part of this mission. Thank you for helping us spread hope, one video at a time. Mary, Queen of the Rosary, pray for us. Padre Pio, intercede for our community, and may God bless each of you abundantly. Did you know that 2 simple words have the power to transform your financial life? St. Padre Pio left us an extraordinary legacy, a spiritual key that has helped countless people overcome their financial struggles. If you believe in Padre Pio's wisdom, write "I trust" in the comments below. My dear friends, I understand the weight of financial worries, the constant stress about bills, the sleepless nights wondering how to provide for your family, the feeling that no matter how hard you work, it's never enough. Today, I want to share with you a profound teaching from Padre Pio that has the power to change everything. These 2 words might seem simple, but they carry immense spiritual power. Padre Pio taught us that when we find ourselves in financial difficulties, we should simply say, "I trust," not just as mere words, but as a profound declaration of faith. He understood that true abundance flows from complete trust in God's providence. You see, Padre Pio himself came from humble beginnings. He knew what it meant to face scarcity, yet he never lost his faith. He witnessed countless miracles of providence in his life and in the lives of those who sought his guidance. Time and time again, he would tell those struggling with financial problems, "Say these 2 words with complete faith, I trust." But what makes these words so powerful? It's not just about repeating them mechanically. It's about understanding their deep spiritual significance. When we say "I trust," we're making a powerful declaration of faith. We're acknowledging that we're not alone in our struggles, that there's a greater plan for our lives. Padre Pio taught that this declaration of trust needs to come from the depths of our heart. It's not just about financial prosperity. It's about achieving a state of complete surrender and faith. When we truly trust, we open ourselves to receive blessings in ways we never imagined possible. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you tried to solve your financial problems purely through logical means? Working harder, cutting expenses, seeking new opportunities, these are all important steps. But Padre Pio reminds us that true abundance begins with spiritual alignment. I've witnessed remarkable transformations in people's lives when they began to apply this teaching, not just in their financial situation, but in their entire approach to life. The peace that comes from truly trusting is priceless. When we release our grip on worry and embrace trust, we create space for miracles to happen. What's fascinating about Padre Pio's teaching is its simplicity. He didn't prescribe complex rituals or lengthy prayers. Just 2 words, "I trust." But these words, when spoken with sincere faith, have the power to move mountains. They represent a complete surrender to God's providence and wisdom. Before we delve deeper into how to apply these powerful words in your daily life, I want you to think about something. What would change in your life if you truly, deeply trusted? How would it feel to release the burden of constant financial worry? To know that you're not alone in your struggles? If you're ready to discover the transformative power of these 2 words, if you're prepared to open your heart to a new way of living, stay with me. Because what I'm about to share next will show you exactly how to apply Padre Pio's wisdom in practical ways that can transform your financial reality. Remember, if this message resonates with your heart, write "I trust" in the comments below. Let's create a community of faith and support where we can all grow together in trust and abundance. Now, let me share with you something remarkable about these 2 words that Padre Pio taught us. These weren't just casual words he spoke. They emerged from his deep spiritual experiences and his profound understanding of faith. During his life, Padre Pio faced numerous challenges. Living through 2 world wars, economic hardships, and personal trials, he discovered that trust was the foundation of all spiritual and material abundance. He often reminded people that worry is useless. What we need is trust and action guided by faith. Consider this powerful quote from Padre Pio: "Pray, hope, and don't worry. Worry is useless. God is merciful and will hear your prayer." This perfectly encapsulates his teaching about trust. He understood that excessive worry about financial matters can block the very blessings we're seeking. The biblical foundation for this teaching is profound. We find it reflected in Matthew 6:26. "Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap or store away in barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they?" This passage beautifully illustrates the kind of trust Padre Pio was teaching. Think about the power of declaration. When we say, "I trust," we're not just speaking words. We're aligning ourselves with a spiritual truth. We're declaring our faith in something greater than our current circumstances. This declaration has the power to shift our perspective and open new possibilities. But here's what makes Padre Pio's teaching unique. He understood that trust isn't passive. It's not about sitting back and waiting for miracles. Instead, it's about maintaining faith while taking inspired action. When we truly trust, we act from a place of confidence rather than desperation. The words, "I trust," become a compass that guides our decisions. Instead of making choices from a place of fear or scarcity, we begin to act from a foundation of faith and abundance. This shift in mindset often leads to better financial decisions and opportunities we might have missed when clouded by worry. Padre Pio taught that this trust extends beyond just financial matters. It touches every aspect of our lives, our relationships, health, and spiritual growth. When we learn to trust in one area, it naturally flows into others, creating a beautiful harmony in our lives. And before I continue revealing these very important teachings of Padre Pio about trust and prosperity, I want to invite you to be part of this spiritual family. If these messages of protection and wisdom are touching your heart, you can support this space by becoming a member of the channel. Also, if this message is helping your life, don't forget to leave your thank you in the comments below the video. Now let's continue with these important revelations. There's a profound reason why Padre Pio emphasized these specific words. The act of saying, "I trust," creates a spiritual connection that transcends our immediate circumstances. It's a reminder that we're part of something greater, that our financial struggles are temporary, but our faith is eternal. Remember, Padre Pio didn't just teach this, he lived it. Throughout his life, he witnessed countless manifestations of providence, not just for himself, but for all those who embraced this teaching with sincere hearts. He saw how simple trust could open doors that seemed permanently closed. The beauty of this teaching lies in its universality. Whether you're facing serious financial hardship or simply seeking greater abundance in your life, these two words hold the same power. They remind us that true wealth begins with spiritual richness. Let's explore how to apply these powerful words in your daily life. The practice of saying, "I trust," isn't just about repetition. It's about creating a new mindset that attracts abundance and peace. Start your day by declaring, "I trust," as soon as you wake up. This sets the tone for your entire day. Before checking your bank account, before opening bills, before facing any financial decisions, pause and say these words with conviction. This morning practice helps build a foundation of faith that carries you through the day. Padre Pio emphasized specific times when these words become particularly powerful. When facing unexpected expenses, say, "I trust." When a bill arrives that seems impossible to pay, say, "I trust." When opportunities seem scarce, say, "I trust." Each declaration is like planting a seed of faith that will grow into manifestation. Here's a practical way to strengthen this practice. Write "I trust" on small notes and place them where you'll see them regularly: your wallet, your workspace, your mirror. These visual reminders help maintain your focus on trust throughout the day. Every time you see these words, repeat them with renewed faith. The power of these words extends beyond just speaking them. When you say, "I trust," take a moment to feel the peace that comes with genuine trust. Let go of the tension in your shoulders. Release the worry from your mind. This physical and emotional release is crucial for allowing abundance to flow into your life. Padre Pio taught that trust must be accompanied by wise action. While declaring, "I trust," remain open to guidance about practical steps you can take. Perhaps you'll feel inspired to learn new skills, explore different opportunities, or make better financial decisions. Trust doesn't mean inaction. It means acting from a place of faith rather than fear. Consider creating a daily ritual around these words. Perhaps light a candle, take a few deep breaths, and spend 5 minutes in quiet reflection while repeating, "I trust." This dedicated practice helps deepen your connection to the spiritual power behind these words. When financial worries arise, and they will, use these words as your first response. Instead of allowing anxiety to take hold, immediately declare, "I trust." This creates a new neural pathway, replacing worry with faith as your default reaction to financial challenges. Remember to apply this trust to all areas of your finances. Whether you're paying bills, making investments, or considering a new job opportunity, let "I trust" be your guiding principle. This comprehensive approach ensures that your entire financial life is aligned with faith and spiritual wisdom. Padre Pio observed that those who practice this trust often experienced unexpected blessings. Sometimes it came through surprising opportunities, other times through resources appearing just when needed. The key is to remain open to how the answers may come, trusting that they will arrive at the perfect time. Make these words part of your evening routine as well. Before sleeping, reflect on moments when trust carried you through the day. Express gratitude for both the challenges and blessings, knowing that each experience strengthens your faith. End your day with a final peaceful declaration, "I trust." The practice becomes particularly powerful when shared with others. When you hear someone expressing financial worries, gently remind them of these two words. Share how this practice has impacted your life. Building a community of trust helps strengthen everyone's faith. As you consistently practice saying, "I trust," you'll notice subtle changes. Your decisions become more confident, your peace more stable, your ability to recognize opportunities sharper. This is the transformation that Padre Pio knew was possible through simple, unwavering trust. Now, let's explore the profound transformation that occurs when we fully embrace these two powerful words. The change begins in our hearts and gradually manifests in our external circumstances. When you consistently declare, "I trust," you'll notice your relationship with money starting to shift. Instead of seeing it as a source of stress, you begin to view it as a tool for good. This is exactly what Padre Pio taught, that our financial resources are meant to serve a higher purpose. The transformation often starts subtly. You might notice feeling more peaceful when checking your bank balance. The panic that used to arise when unexpected expenses appear begins to diminish. You start making decisions from a place of wisdom rather than fear. These small changes signal the beginning of a deeper transformation. Padre Pio observed that people who mastered trust experienced a fascinating phenomenon. Their needs were met in ways they couldn't have planned or predicted. Sometimes it came through new work opportunities, sometimes through unexpected resources, and often through improved ability to manage existing resources. Remember, this transformation isn't just about attracting more money. It's about developing a healthier relationship with finances overall. When we truly trust, we break free from the cycle of constant worry that often leads to poor financial decisions. We gain clarity about our true needs versus our wants. One of the most powerful aspects of saying "I trust" is how it affects our daily choices. When trust becomes your foundation, you naturally begin to make wiser financial decisions. You become more discerning about your spending, more grateful for what you have, and more open to opportunities for growth. Consider this wisdom from Padre Pio. Our trust creates a channel through which blessings can flow. When worry and fear block this channel, even abundant resources can't bring us peace. But when we maintain trust, we keep this channel open, allowing both material and spiritual blessings to reach us. The transformation extends beyond finances. People often report improved relationships, better health, and a deeper sense of purpose. This is because true trust affects our entire being. When we release the heavy burden of financial worry, we free up energy for other aspects of life. Pay attention to the signs of transformation in your life. Perhaps you'll notice greater peace when dealing with financial matters, improved clarity in decision-making, unexpected opportunities appearing, a stronger sense of purpose with your resources, more generous heart. Despite circumstances, trust also transforms how we view challenges. Instead of seeing financial difficulties as pure obstacles, we begin to recognize them as opportunities for growth and miracles. This shift in perspective often leads to creative solutions we might have missed when blinded by worry. The most beautiful part of this transformation is how it ripples out to affect others. When people see the peace and confidence you maintain even in challenging times, they're drawn to understand your secret. Your trust becomes a light that helps others find their way to faith. Remember, transformation through trust isn't instantaneous. It's a journey. Some days you'll find it easier to trust than others. This is normal and part of the process. The key is to maintain the practice of declaring, "I trust," regardless of how you feel in the moment. Let me share with you the final insights about the transformative power of these two words that Padre Pio left us. This wisdom has the potential to completely reshape your relationship with abundance. Let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. These two simple words, "I trust," carry immense power when spoken with genuine faith. They're not just words, but a declaration that opens paths to abundance and peace in your life. The practice of trust that Padre Pio taught us goes beyond mere positive thinking. It's about aligning ourselves with a higher purpose and understanding that our financial well-being is part of a greater plan. When we truly embrace this truth, we begin to see changes not just in our circumstances, but in our entire approach to life. Remember, this practice requires consistency. Make these words part of your daily routine, morning, evening, and especially during moments of financial stress. Let "I trust" become your immediate response to any financial worry or challenge that appears in your path. Think about the transformation we discussed. When you declare "I trust," you're not just hoping for change, you're actively participating in your own transformation. You're choosing faith over fear, trust over worry, and peace over anxiety. Oh, dear soul who has come this far, if these teachings of Padre Pio on trust and prosperity touch your heart, I invite you to leave a thank you below this video. This simple gesture of gratitude helps more families to receive these valuable revelations. And if you wish to continue receiving more messages of protection and wisdom, become a member of this space of connection and faith. Together we can create a community where peace and harmony are a reality in every home. Take these teachings with you. Let them guide your decisions, inspire your actions, and strengthen your faith. Remember that Padre Pio's wisdom continues to transform lives today, just as it did during his lifetime. As you move forward, carry these two powerful words in your heart. Let them be your companion in times of abundance and in times of need. Trust that your path is guided, your needs are known, and your faith will be rewarded. Remember to share this message with others who might be struggling with financial worries. Together, we can create a community of faith and support where trust overcomes fear and abundance flows freely. May these teachings of Padre Pio bring you peace, prosperity, and renewed faith in your journey. Keep declaring "I trust" with conviction, knowing that true transformation begins with these simple yet powerful words. Did you know there's a psalm in the Bible that has been the key to miraculous healings? Padre Pio knew it well and used it to intercede for the sick. Today, I'll reveal its power to you. When we're suffering, we seek doctors, medications, treatments, and all of these are necessary, but there's something even deeper. The Church and the wisdom of Padre Pio remind us that true healing is a process that involves the soul, the body, and the spirit. When Jesus healed, he didn't just restore people's physical health. He returned their dignity, forgave their sins, and offered them inner transformation. Padre Pio understood this perfectly. Throughout his life, he witnessed countless healing miracles. Patients given up on by doctors returned to their homes completely healthy. What was his secret? What did he do when he interceded for them? It's about a specific psalm, a set of words inspired by God that invoke his protection over body, mind, and spirit. A psalm that, when prayed with true faith, opens the doors to profound healing. Stay until the end, because I'll teach you exactly how to use it, when to pray it, and most importantly, the 3 keys that Padre Pio shared to multiply its healing power. If you believe in the power of Padre Pio's intercession for your healing, write right now in the comments, "Padre Pio, intercede for my health." This simple act of faith already begins to open the doors to what you're about to discover. This psalm is God's promise to those who fully trust in Him. It's a spiritual shield against all illness, danger, and adversity. First, it protects against diseases, especially those that come suddenly and inexplicably. Second, it has the power to transform anguish into peace, allowing the sick person to find serenity even in the midst of pain. And there's something else, something very few know about this psalm. I'll reveal it to you in just a moment. Zofia, a woman from Guadalajara, shared with me how this psalm transformed her experience with cancer. Not only did she experience a remission that was inexplicable to her doctors, but she also found a profound peace throughout the treatment process. For the first time, she told me, I understood that illness could be a path of drawing closer to God, not moving away from Him. It's testimonies like these that confirm what Padre Pio knew. Psalm 91 is an extraordinary spiritual healing tool that God has placed in our hands. This psalm isn't just a collection of beautiful words. It's a declaration of divine protection that has proven its power throughout centuries. Each verse contains promises of safety, healing, and divine intervention that speak directly to our deepest needs in times of illness and suffering. When we pray Psalm 91 with faith, something supernatural begins to happen. The words themselves carry divine authority. They're not just expressions of hope, but declarations of spiritual reality. As we speak them aloud, we're participating in a spiritual act that has tangible effects in both the seen and unseen realms. Padre Pio, who bore the stigmata, the wounds of Christ, for 50 years, had a special insight into the power of this psalm. Through his deep suffering, he discovered the transformative power of these sacred words. He witnessed how, when prayed correctly, this psalm could bring about not only physical healing, but also spiritual renewal and emotional restoration. He would often prescribe this psalm to those who came to him in desperation, seeking relief from illness, protection from danger, or comfort in times of distress. And the results were astonishing. Healings that defied medical explanation, protection that seemed to defy natural laws, peace that transcended understanding. What makes Psalm 91 particularly powerful for healing? It addresses protection and deliverance in comprehensive terms. It speaks of safety from the deadly pestilence and declares that no plague shall come near your dwelling. These aren't metaphorical promises. They're concrete assurances of God's protection over our physical well-being. Before we continue delving deeper into this powerful psalm, I want to share with you a special opportunity that perfectly complements what you're learning today. Many of you have asked me to compile Padre Pio's teachings and prayers in a format that you can consult at any time. That's why we've created the ebook, The Power of the Rosary with Padre Pio, Miracles, Protection, and Divine Graces. This spiritual treasure will help you learn to pray the Rosary with greater devotion and depth. Discover the miracles and testimonies of those who have experienced its power, and know the most impactful teachings and quotes from Padre Pio about prayer. You'll also receive a 30-day prayer guide with daily intentions to strengthen your faith, and access to special prayers for protection, healing, and liberation. The Rosary was Padre Pio's great weapon, and today it can be yours too. Don't miss this opportunity to strengthen your spiritual life with material that has helped thousands of people. To download it, simply click on the link pinned in the comments. To fully understand the power of this psalm in healing, we must first understand how Padre Pio viewed the mystery of illness. In our current culture, we tend to see illness as an enemy that must be eliminated at all costs, as something meaningless that only brings suffering. But Padre Pio's perspective was much deeper. Padre Pio, who carried Christ's stigmata for 50 years, understood suffering like few others. He saw illness not just as a trial, but also as an opportunity for spiritual transformation. Suffering, he said, is like a chisel that God uses to sculpt the image of his Son in us. This perspective completely changes our relationship with illness. When someone came to Padre Pio seeking healing, he first invited them to look beyond the physical pain. He taught them that sometimes God allows illness as a path of purification, as an invitation to stop and reevaluate our priorities, or as an opportunity to exercise our faith. This doesn't mean we should passively resign ourselves to pain. On the contrary, Padre Pio encouraged seeking medical treatment and praying fervently for healing. But he insisted that regardless of the physical outcome, we should always seek inner healing, peace of soul, reconciliation with God, acceptance of his will. In this spiritual context, this psalm takes on a special significance. It's not simply a magical formula to eliminate disease, but a powerful tool to transform our relationship with it and open ourselves to God's healing action in all its dimensions. I remember the case of Antonio, a man from Monterrey who suffered from a degenerative disease. After months of praying this psalm following Padre Pio's teachings, he shared with me, "My body is still sick, but my spirit has healed. I no longer live in fear, but with a strange peace that I didn't know was possible. Now I understand that true healing doesn't always mean the elimination of physical illness. This is the difference between cure and integral healing. A cure refers only to the restoration of physical health, while integral healing encompasses all dimensions of our being, body, mind, emotions, and spirit." This psalm, when prayed with the right intention, helps us open ourselves to this integral healing. It reminds us that we are under God's loving care, regardless of our physical circumstances. It helps us transform fear into trust, despair into hope. The time has come to delve into the sacred words of Psalm 91, that spiritual treasure that Padre Pio recommended with such fervor. This is not just any psalm. It's a declaration of faith and an invocation of God's protective power over our lives, especially in times of illness and suffering. The psalm begins with these powerful words, "He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty." Let's pause for a moment on this phrase. To dwell means to remain, to live constantly. It's not about visiting God occasionally when we have problems, but about making him our permanent dwelling place. Padre Pio explained that when we make God our constant refuge, illness loses its power over our spirit, even though the body may continue to experience pain. Let's continue with verse 3, especially relevant for those seeking healing. "Surely he will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence." Padre Pio interpreted this verse as a promise of protection against sudden and mysterious illnesses. The deadly pestilence represents any evil that threatens our physical and spiritual well-being. By reciting this verse with faith, we are invoking special protection against the disease that stalks us. Verses 5 and 6 are particularly powerful. "You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in the darkness, nor the plague that destroys at midday." Padre Pio taught that these verses remind us that God's protection is constant, both in moments of darkness and fear, represented by the night and the darkness, as well as in those of apparent security, the day and midday. Illness can attack at any time, but the divine promise of protection is permanent. We now come to verse 10, which Padre Pio considered fundamental for prayer for healing. "No harm will overtake you, no disaster will come near your tent." Here, your tent represents your body, your home, your family. It's a powerful declaration that evil and illness have no authority over you when you are under divine protection. By reciting this verse, we are establishing a perimeter of spiritual protection around us. Verses 14 to 16 are God's response to those who pray this psalm with faith. "Because he loves me, says the Lord, I will rescue him, I will protect him, for he acknowledges my name. He will call on me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Padre Pio especially highlighted the promise, I will be with him in trouble. This is perhaps the most beautiful guarantee of the psalm. Even if illness persists, we are never alone in our suffering. God himself remains by our side, sustaining our spirit, transforming pain into a path of growth and sanctification. The expression, with long life I will satisfy him, does not necessarily refer to physical longevity, but to a fullness of life, to an existence lived in deep communion with God, regardless of its chronological duration. Carmen, a devotee of Padre Pio from Veracruz, told me how these verses transformed her experience with painful arthritis. I began to recite Psalm 91 every morning and every night, she told me. As I did so, I visualized a protective light surrounding my joints, little by little. Not only did my physical pain diminish, but I discovered an ability to accept my limitations with serenity and even with gratitude. I understood that God was truly with me in my distress, just as the psalm promises. This testimony perfectly reflects what Padre Pio taught. Psalm 91 not only invokes physical healing, but transforms our experience of suffering, allowing us to find peace and purpose even in the midst of pain. Knowing Psalm 91 is just the first step. To experience its healing power, Padre Pio taught a specific method for praying it. It's not simply about repeating words, but about creating the right spiritual conditions for this prayer to bear fruit in our lives. Let me share with you the 3 fundamental steps that Padre Pio recommended for praying Psalm 91 with true effectiveness, especially when seeking healing. The first step is inner preparation. Padre Pio insisted that before beginning to recite the psalm, we must enter a state of recollection and peace. This means setting aside, even if just for a few minutes, the noise and distractions of the world. We can light a candle, create a small altar with an image of Jesus, the Virgin Mary, or Padre Pio himself. The important thing is to create an atmosphere of reverence and concentration. In this moment of preparation, Padre Pio recommended making a brief examination of conscience and an act of contrition. The prayer that comes from a clean heart, he would say, has incomparable power. We don't need to be perfect for our prayer to be effective, but we do need to approach God with a sincere and repentant heart. The second step is the attentive and heartfelt recitation of the psalm. Padre Pio taught that we should pronounce each word with full awareness of its meaning, savoring it, allowing it to resonate within us. It's not about reciting quickly, but about making each verse a true conversation with God. It's especially powerful to recite the psalm aloud. Words spoken aloud have a special power, as if when leaving our lips they take form and begin to act in the spiritual world. If our physical condition allows, Padre Pio even suggested adopting a posture of openness, standing, with hands extended or raised toward heaven, as if ready to receive divine grace. If we're praying for another sick person, Padre Pio recommended explicitly mentioning their name during the prayer, as if inserting them into the protective mantle that the psalm is weaving. For example, Lord, may your promise of protection envelop my sister Lucy today. No harm will overtake her, no disaster will come near her tent. The third step, perhaps the most important according to Padre Pio, is total surrender. Once the psalm has been recited, we must make a conscious act of absolute trust in God. This means letting go of our expectations about how or when healing should come. It means accepting that God's response may manifest in ways we hadn't imagined. And the most powerful prayer, Padre Pio taught, is that which ends by saying, like Jesus in the garden, "Not my will, but yours be done." This surrender is not passive resignation, but active trust that God knows better than we do what we need. Regarding frequency, Padre Pio recommended praying Psalm 91 at least 3 times a day, upon waking, at midday, and before sleeping. In cases of serious illness or acute crisis, he suggested praying it every hour if possible, as a constant shield against evil and pain. Jorge, a devotee from Mexico City, followed this method when his young son was diagnosed with a severe heart condition. At first, he shared with me, I prayed the psalm mechanically, almost demanding that God heal my son immediately. But over time, following Padre Pio's teachings, I learned to pray it with true surrender. Curiously, it was then that we began to see inexplicable improvements in the medical tests. This is the paradox that Padre Pio teaches us. Sometimes, letting go of our demands is precisely what opens the door to receiving the grace we need. It's not that God rewards our surrender, but that this attitude allows us to receive what He already wants to give us. Padre Pio's teachings about Psalm 91 are not abstract theory. Their fruits are manifested in countless lives transformed by the power of this prayer. Let me share with you two moving stories that illustrate the healing power of this psalm when prayed with the faith and method that Padre Pio taught us. The first is the story of Luisa, a teacher from Puebla who suffered from chronic migraines so severe that she had lost the ability to work. Doctors had prescribed increasingly stronger medications, but the relief was temporary and the side effects devastating. I felt trapped in an endless cycle of pain, she told me. Everything changed when Eus, during a visit to her parish, a priest devoted to Padre Pio, taught her Psalm 91 and the method to pray it correctly. At first, I recited it out of desperation, almost without believing it would work, Luisa recalls. But something extraordinary began to happen. It wasn't an instant miracle, but a gradual process. Luisa established 3 daily moments to pray the psalm, upon waking, at midday, and before sleeping. With each passing day, she noticed that the frequency of her migraines decreased. More importantly, she began to experience an inner peace that sustained her even when physical pain persisted. After 3 months of this constant practice, Luisa experienced such significant improvement that she was able to reduce her medications by half. 6 months later, the severe migraines had practically disappeared. The most impressive thing, says Luisa, wasn't just the physical improvement, but the transformation of my relationship with suffering. I learned that even pain can be a path to God. The second story is different, but equally powerful. Manuel, a businessman from Guadalajara, was diagnosed with advanced cancer. The medical prognoses were discouraging, giving him just months to live. A close friend, familiar with Padre Pio's teachings, gave him a holy card of the saint with Psalm 91 written on the back. This psalm will be your spiritual medicine, he told him. D-teen, pray it with faith while you receive your medical treatments. Manuel, who describes his previous faith as conventional and lukewarm, began to pray the psalm with an intensity born of urgency. What happened next transcends medical explanations. Not only did he respond extraordinarily well to treatments, but he developed an inner strength that amazed everyone who knew him. Even in the worst moments of the side effects, his wife recalls, Manuel maintained an inexplicable serenity. He would repeat verses from Psalm 91 when the pain intensified, and this seemed to give him a strength that came from somewhere else. 3 years later, against all odds, Manuel is in complete remission. His doctors speak of an exceptional case. He attributes his recovery to a combination of modern medicine and the spiritual power of Psalm 91. I can't separate one from the other, he says. I know medicine was essential, but I also know something else was working in my body and spirit. These stories remind us of what Padre Pio always emphasized. Faith does not replace medicine, but works alongside it to create optimal conditions for integral healing. Psalm 91 is not a magic formula, but a channel for opening ourselves to God's healing power. Psalm 91 is not just for moments of crisis or serious illness. Padre Pio taught that we should incorporate it into our daily lives as a preventive and strengthening practice. It's like a spiritual vitamin that taken regularly, reinforces our soul's and body's immune system. How can we integrate Psalm 91 into our daily routine following Padre Pio's teachings? Here I share some practical recommendations. First, begin the day with Psalm 91. Padre Pio suggested praying it immediately after waking, even before getting out of bed. This simple act establishes spiritual coverage for the entire day. Imagine that each word of the psalm forms an invisible shield that will protect you during the day. You can write key verses of the psalm on small cards and place them in strategic locations, on your bathroom mirror, on your refrigerator, at your work desk. These seeds of faith will remind you of divine protection in moments of tension or fatigue. Padre Pio also recommended adapting the psalm to specific situations. For example, if you're going to a medical consultation or to receive treatment, you can recite verses 9 and 10. Because you have made the Lord your dwelling place, the Most High, who is my refuge, no evil shall be allowed to befall you, no plague come near your tent. Visualize these words enveloping the examination room or the hospital. For those who care for the sick, Psalm 91 is an invaluable resource. Padre Pio suggested praying it gently near the sick person, even if they are asleep or unconscious. The spirit listens, he would say, even when the body seems not to respond. This practice not only benefits the sick person, but also protects and strengthens the caregiver. Consistency is essential. It's better to pray the psalm briefly but regularly than to do it occasionally but with great intensity. Padre Pio compared this practice to watering a plant. It's preferable to give it small amounts of water regularly than to flood it once a month. How will we know the psalm is taking effect? Padre Pio mentioned 3 signs: an inner peace that transcends circumstances, a renewed ability to face suffering with hope, and a gradual transformation of our perspective on illness. These signs are not always spectacular or immediate. Sometimes they manifest subtly, like a greater serenity in the face of bad medical news, or an inexplicable certainty that, whatever happens, we are in God's hands. Patience is crucial. As Padre Pio said, prayer is the key that opens God's heart, but a key needs time to turn in the lock. Trust the process and persevere, even when you don't see immediate results. We have journeyed together through the path of healing that Psalm 91 offers us, that spiritual treasure that Padre Pio considered fundamental for facing illness and suffering. We have discovered that it is not just a prayer, but a refuge, a shield, and a balm for the body and soul. Perhaps at this moment you're going through a difficult trial. Maybe you carry the weight of an illness that seems to have no end, or you're accompanying a loved one in their process of pain. I want you to know that you are not alone on this path. The words of Psalm 91 that we have shared today are not empty promises, but eternal truths that have sustained millions of people throughout the centuries. Padre Pio, who intimately knew suffering, left us this profound teaching. Prayer is the best weapon we have, the key that opens God's heart. Psalm 91 is precisely that, a key that opens the doors of divine mercy and allows us to experience His healing power, whether through physical healing or the inner peace that transforms our experience of suffering. I invite you, starting today, to make Psalm 91 your daily companion. Pray it with faith in the morning, at midday, and before sleeping. Apply the method that Padre Pio taught us: inner preparation, attentive recitation, and total surrender. And trust that, in one way or another, you will see its fruits in your life. If this message has touched your heart, write in the comments, "Thank you, Padre Pio, for this teaching of healing." Your comment will not only help me reach more people who need this message, but will itself be an act of faith and gratitude. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel to receive more teachings that will strengthen your faith and spirit. And if you know someone who is facing an illness, share this video with love. May God bless you abundantly, and may the intercession of Padre Pio always accompany you on your path to integral healing.